Hey guys, sup? How we doing? This is the main, yeah, the Aleph or what's her name. All right, what are we doing today? I wanted to do some theory crafting ahead of next season. I have a few build ideas for what's like my first slash second build, and I kind of want to get a head start on actually playing around with them, seeing what could be good, what could be not great, especially when it comes to the Summon Phantasm one. But then, seeing as I can't really POB defilers when it comes to like DPS, for the most part, I'm probably going to keep a very similar setup to what I had last league, but we just need to go over it again with the new changes. We'll probably need to tweak the leveling for them because now accuracy is no longer a thing. So I need to not account for them, or account for it in all the situations before that. So when we're using like skeletons, zombies, all of that, it should be, oh, this is the wrong POB. This is POB2. Jeez. So those are things we need to account for. And I think Summon Phantasms right now are accurate. Could be wrong, but I think they are. I also don't think they changed any nodes on the tree. So odds are we are going to do the whole leveling low budget yada yada yada. I am also quite curious to see what they changed these two nodes into. I don't think they mention it, right? They do not. They replace the offense mastery with this. Then Grave Pact now grants minion accuracy, but they didn't talk about these two. Besides spiritual command. So it's possible they removed it, but it's more likely that they just didn't say. That being said, if they're going to replace minion accuracy with CDR, I would love it, but that's wishful thinking. And we also have to really think about what we want, how we want to path now. Because if this is going to give, because the reason we pathed here was because we level with melee minions as well as absolution, zombies, specters, attack-based specters. So we needed to make sure we had the accuracy. So if accuracy is no longer an issue, then we really don't need to even be in this vicinity. So we're going to have to revisit like all the points leading up to there and just make sure our priorities are in order. I do think getting here is probably decent defensively. I do not like dying personally, so getting here is probably fine. Here is probably overkill. What? Give me a second. All right, so where were we? So odds are we're going to. How do we even start making adjustments to this without? Okay, let's start from here. Remove these 2 points. Put them 1, 2. Then Act 3. Remove the points again. They are not mandatory. We go 1, 2. Oh, nice. Here we one had a 5 gig update. Let's just have this be in the background. What's happening? It has no sound. Why do you have no sound? The whole point of you being in the background is ambient sound, my guy. There. All right. Where will we be? Act 3 done. There's also a universe where we end up using living lightning with absolution. Not completely sold on it, but 8 points, 8 points, 8 points. What do I do with 8 points here? Obviously, this is Act 4. I'm looking to switch into having some permanent specters. So wait, let's start from the top. 8 points from here, so I'm getting to 47. All right, 47. We're going to need convocation here. We're going to need. We don't need them CDRs. So we're not going to take this. We also will not have offering yet. I don't think. I could check. 4. We do have offering. We have desk. We have space for it. So I guess we do go offering. Guys, let me check what I never pick the convocation. Well, now I do. All right. I need 2 more points. Probably 1, 2. Probably. Precisely. Oh, look. Convocation is here. So it means somewhere down the line, I kind of forgot to. So 56 is the target here. 5, 6. How about I just compare to Act 6, shall I? So I need 8 points. 57 was the target, I think. So we'll go skill cost. We'll do this. 57 is the goal. Let's do that. And now we take all the greens. How about this? Before I even take anything else. This is supposed to be 59. So offering, convocation. All right, it's the exact same as Act 5. Now let's compare it to Act 7. I don't care for the life immediately is the thing. I guess it's fine. The reason I wouldn't go for something like Oak is if I were to go Oak, I would have to respec later, and I personally don't like respecing, so. Let's cover all the greens again. Okay. 67 is a goal. 67 is the goal. And then Act 8 is when you actually get the Ascendancy. You get Ascendancy 2, which gives you Leech, which allows you to go instant Leech instantly. No pun intended. Then the goal is 67, so we've hit the 67 mark. Act 8, the goal is 74. This is obviously nice. So then we just go 1, 2, 3. One of the things that feels weird doing in PoB, but it's obviously correct, is it feels weird not selecting attributes as you go down the tree simply because of how PoB 2 has it. Where were we? Let's just make sure there's nothing we're missing. No, there's not. I think we already hit the 74 we're trying to hit on Act 8. Yeah, everything else is fine. $83 here. I think early on we can't really rely on this guy is why I don't have it. $83. Then Act 10. Again, need to make sure 93 is a goal. I don't know that I care for this wheel just yet. I don't think I do yet. I have no reason to care for it right now, so I'm still going to remove it. If anything, okay, so we've taken care of all the green, so now remove compare. We need 3 more points. Where else are we going? We'll add 1 point just so we can pick up that notable. If this is the final leveling tree, what does the low budget look like? I still don't get this. I obviously need to drop this. But this is now Chaos Res. Do I prefer this Chaos Res wheel over this guy? That is the question. This would give you... This will likely give us maybe similar amounts of Chaos Res, but this is a 4-node one, so we can probably end up getting more Chaos Res. And this does have offensive implications in the sense of like minion damage, double chance for double damage, and then all of this with Chaos Res. So it'd be like a hybrid offense defense type situation going on there. Anyways, we've tweaked the leveling trees, so the tree should be fine now, I think. Let's make sure there's nothing else here we care about changing for accuracy, because I think this was literally the only thing we would check for accuracy. We wouldn't bother with these two. Nothing else much changes here. Now for skills, the only thing I can think of that changes or that could change is Living Lightning, in the sense of it's entirely possible that we might use Living Lightning with Absolution instead of like what is our 4 links, instead of like, let's say we're Living Lightning, does he use attacks or spells? I think according to PoE 2 it's attacks, like they cast attacks, not spells. And if they are attack based, then Spell Echo does nothing, which means they are a bad support gem for Absolution. But if they do spells, then everything else for Absolution works well, because we'd be going for like Spell Echo, Fist of Lightning. I think they're base lightning, so this does nothing for them, and also this does nothing for them if they attack base. This, yeah, it does nothing for them actually. So only this would do anything for them in any capacity. But the one thing they do have going for them is they will make it more streamlined for Absolution to get summoned. How, you might ask? One thing I noticed at certain points in the game when it comes to Absolution and summoning Absolution is when you cast the ability, because of the way Absolution works, and I guess let me start from the top. The way Absolution works is you're going to cast an ability, and that ability applies a debuff to every enemy it hits. It's a circular spell. Now, if the enemy dies while affected by this debuff, that is when you summon the Absolution Sentinels, the spellcasters, the minions that will actually take over. Now, when you first start a map, before you have any sort of minion army going that does significant damage, what's going to happen is you're going to cast Absolution, and you're going to need to kill the enemy in front of you to then summon your DPS minions, because the debuff only lasts how long? 1 second. Base duration is 1 second, yeah. So the debuff only lasts a second. So between when you cast it and when the enemy dies, at most a second has to pass. Or I guess since we take increased skill effect duration here, slightly more than a second but less than 2 seconds type situation going on there. So you need to have the initial hit damage to kill the enemies, which is why I typically like taking this spiritual aid. Speaking of spiritual aid, I should probably add it somewhere here. This is more of an early act situation, like acts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 early on. Later on, you have zombies following you, you have skeletons, you have maybe not skeletons, I think you have skeletons actually. you have other things that are following your character. And because you have all these other things that follow your character that can actually do damage for you, you no longer have to worry about them dying in that time, because those things, those other minions will kill for you, kill the thing for you essentially. But early on, when you have like only 3 zombies that are not really doing damage, and you only like 3 links, you're going to have to be the person to kill if you want those minions up. And that is fine, but that can also be problematic in its own way. So I really like spiritual aid early on, just so you have a bit more oomph to your hits, basically. So I might add it for like some of these acts and then drop it later. But the problem is, if I had to rush it from like act 1, you would end up relatively squishy. I don't think that is the play either. Actually, maybe not. You do get life here, and you are going here, so you do get some damage. You wouldn't get this until after. But then you might have to skip this wheel. What else do we get before Absolution? We prioritize getting our Spectres up and running. That might be the place where we switch. We might end up doing something like, instead of getting Spectres, we're going 37. We end up doing this 37, and then here we get this. We wait for 47, we get this, and then we drop like 47. And then from here, we just add, Jesus Christ, can you? Okay. Anyways, what are we going to take off here? Get the fuck out of me. That's what I'm gonna say.
Why?
Because I just heard a plug from nowhere.
Oh.
I think we keep spiritual aid. We just keep spiritual aid, I think, up until like act 8. Then you can remove it. I think act 8 is a decent spot to drop it, because by act 6, realistically, your minion army is ready to go. Actually, realistically, by act 5, because at that point you have your specters. But by act 6, act 7, you're getting your 3rd specter, or I guess is this 2nd specter? You're getting your 3rd specter, yeah, because you have this guy. By act 6, you're getting your 3rd specter, your zombies are up and running, everybody's kind of doing their thing, and realistically, you're not even needing spiritual aid. So realistically, by act 7, we should be dropping spiritual aid. So act 6 should be the last act. We maybe use it and then we drop it. It's at the refund points in, I think Faustus does it. I think that's a decent plan. Anyways, what up?
Hey, what's up?
I'm good.
What are you thinking of starting?
Filers.
Yeah,
it's my
best for Breach, eh?
They have a really good wave, like really good coverage. Anything else would require like an explode AG, and that is not really something you want to be crafting early on. Other than that, what else would I do have other build ideas, but this is the first one. The second one I have is that I'm going to POB today is what the fuck is the name? Summon Phantasms, but I don't know how great they will be at Breach. I think we can get them to having a lot of damage, and I think I really enjoy the idea or the fantasy of potentially having 40 something minions, if I remember correctly, somewhere along those lines, like 48 or something, up permanently, and also having like my offerings affecting me, some shit like that. I don't remember all the specifics. Again, I'll POB that today, but there are advantages to summon Phantasms, but clear disadvantages. They have short ranged projectiles on like defilers. You're not off screening with it. I mean, granted, you're barely off screening with defilers, but if there's an enemy on your screen, their projectiles will go to the edge of your screen. So unlike Phantasms.
Sad to see what you come up with.
Yeah, not much change. Lol. Not much change between last season and this season, so I still have my POB where I use Durania myself. which I planned last league. So I'm likely going to be using that, except I might switch Dark Monarch and mess around with the skill gems and stuff like that. I don't think too much changes, but I do think Wall of Force is going to be mandatory, or not mandatory, but very incentivized on defilers.
Yeah, we need. I don't know if we're getting Wall of Force numbers, but if we do, I've probably already picked a build, to be honest.
We're not getting Wall of Force numbers, but Wall of Force is literally just, oh, you put the wall there, now things are just
Duration
chain.
Duration and other
Oh, it's
stuff
ass.
is pretty important.
Its duration is ass.
How do we know that?
I saw the review. She lasted like 1 second and it was out. It was there. It took some KB. I was like, this is goodbye.
Because I would love that for.
I mean, I can show you if you want.
No, I've seen it. I've seen it. I just like. I knew it would be really important to know for ice shots. I would like to play ice shots. Like, I'm down for a Deadeye League start.
The thing is around
Ice shot would be
here.
really fun.
Yeah, it's here.
So I saw on Reddit today, and I didn't clock that. You could maybe, if the devs picked this unique from one of the uniques, that one of the special modifiers on a lightning coil could be not minus lightning res.
So minus fire res?
Or just plus lightning res.
From what I saw, the negatives on Crew Ring just shifted to be negatives for other things. So negatives would likely stay like negatives.
We don't really know that though. It's just like one example.
Yeah, but I think the example is the best we have. I wouldn't count on a negative becoming a positive until shown. You know, like there will be uniques where their negatives will become positives and they'll be very good, but you can't guess which one will have that and which one won't and all of that.
Here's the cool thing though, right? We've also seen, haven't we seen negatives? We've seen them, like, there was I don't know, I saw this post on the Reddit and someone was trying to do like 3 of a certain rank. I think it's an additional ignite ring.
Yeah, sent to you.
But yeah, that person's hoping for the negative mod to just be removed for anything else because of how bad that mod is. So what if it's the same with lightning coil?
I don't think that was the case. That was just the case of, oh, he just wants +1 ignite.
No, then it's puts on the less because it's literally a less burning damage modifier.
Yeah, he wants that to be something else. Like negative anything else works for it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So what if it's a negative anything else that we're willing to take over the minus lightning res? It might make it easier for carrying.
Yeah, and that's fine. My point is, I'm not going to. Don't assume it's going to become a positive. There's a universe where it becomes a different negative that is a lot better to stomach. For some builds, so the Quirine example, it goes from minus, what was it? Less. It goes to less AoE from like less. What was the OG one? Quirine. Less damage to less AoE. That was the example given. So it could be some, and that one for many builds except like Rain of Arrows maybe, and maybe who else cares about AoE? Toxic Rain kind of does, I guess, but not really.
Well, Toxic Rain wants overlaps.
It wants overlaps, but with the way it's
also just not really a build right now.
I know my point is there are a few builds, I can't think of too many things that care about the AoE as much as the damage, I guess, early on. Because like with Toxic Rain, if you have less AoE, the pods are the main damage dealers there, and I don't think they're limited by AoE that much. Like there's no universe where you scale AoE on Toxic Rain. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But the point is, plan for a negative. It might not be minus lightning res. It might end up being like, oh, maybe minus chaos res, and maybe you counter that with CI. You know, it could be something like that. One,
CI lightning coil. It's gonna cook.
what'd you say? Yeah, CI
CI
lightning coil, of
That's
course.
cooked.
Hey,
I hope they
out there
have a really
ideas.
generous pool of uniques to give. Because now that I realize they're handpicking, I'm a little bit worried.
Handpicking uniques and handpicking the mods, because not every mod will be. I don't think every mod on the unique is going to be what they call it, foul born able. I don't think
I
so,
don't know.
but they will
I
have
feel like they might do that, or they'll do
most
the other way. I wouldn't
most
be
uniques
surprised if they
will
do
have
either.
multiple options, because they do want that note to be like, oh, your uniques can have multiple foul spawned or foul born stats or whatever. So they will have
All you need is
multiple,
two
but
to
not all
three
of them.
options on a unique for it to even be. Because it's already going to take a while to get the unique you want. So I'm really hoping for this.
I'm also really hoping they don't have us go back to that tree every single, like every 2 maps or something. I'm also hoping it's something where you can stack quite a few and then you spam through and hope you get your unique or something. I wouldn't want to keep breaking my gameplay loop, because I go full on the blood requirement and I have to go and whatever. Also, something I thought about that would be very cool. Or it was also mentioned in the Minion Discord, but Foulborn Doriani. Imagine that affecting something else. Maybe not lightning. My guess would be it's going straight to chaos. And if it's going straight to chaos, because if from the examples they showed, a lot of the elementals become chaos. I think Goldrim did that as well. If it goes to you're setting everybody's chaos res, I don't think it's possible to get minus 200 chaos res, but that would actually be quite interesting for like poison builds, I think. So I think there'll be some uniques in there that will be very interesting to mess around with on the what on earth did they call them?
Foulborn. Have you looked at the
Yeah,
Foulborn currencies too?
Yeah, one of them, they're just for crafting the hands and then.
Oh, we have one for items, normal items.
I know it's greater exalts and greater regals and whatnot.
I wonder how that works in this game.
Probably the same way. It's just they don't seem to have the cutoff level here, but they might have it in game. To be fair, it does say higher level being more likely, but in the reveal they said that it excludes lower level mods. So it's my guess is it's exactly the same way that it works in PoE 2, except maybe a different eye level cutoff, you know. That's my guess anyways. You know, I'm just now realizing the circles released by Kinetic Rain also do damage. Because like throughout the review video, I was wondering like what they do, because they were mentioning the things that get left behind. I'm like, okay, cool. Do you use them for something? Do you pick them up? No one seemed to answer it. But I'm looking at the support, the skill gem now on the Keepers of the Flame reveal site or whatever, and it does say it does damage. Pretty decent damage, to be honest. What'd you say?
What does damage?
The circles left behind by Kinetic Rain.
Oh, okay.
They explode when enemies get near and they do damage. All right. So this, I think, is a decent spot to leave the leveling POB. I do think, like I said, I'm going to keep an eye out for like Living Lightning, but I wouldn't hold my breath for that. I don't think it will be the craziest. Like, I don't think we're actually going to end up using it, simply because I went somewhere looking for Living Lightning. I think it's here. The witch gets it after Sharp and Cruel. Sharp and Cruel, I think, is an Act 4, or is it Act 2 rather? Oh, it's the Weaver, yeah. So you will get this after Weaver, so we can potentially use it with Absolution, but I wouldn't hold my breath, because like I said, I think they use attacks like in PoE 2. That would be my guess. I don't think they would make them spell based in PoE 1, but you never know. If they are spell based, then we can use them excellently beside absolution, assuming their numbers are good as well. We don't actually know how good they will be, but there is a universe where we end up using them as a support gem and having some extra minions to field, which ends up helping that very, very lull period of, oh, I don't have enough side minions to kill the initial enemies I run into in the map to summon my absolution, but I do have living lightning, and the moment I cast absolution, they get summoned to then kill the enemies, which would then summon my absolution, so my combo can start with a lot less pain. And if we go that route, then we don't even need spiritual aid, really. We can just rely on them, but we'll see. There's really no rush. What are these? They increase the cost of Karak League options. Ah, interesting. Settlers went from 3 to 5 and contains 2 additional. Ooh, 2 additional deposits. Wait, no. Karak League modifiers. I'm assuming this is not the map device. This sounds like the map device, but this is not what I understand as. Am I missing something here? It sounds like it should be a map device. I think it's Karak's missions. That's my only guess. But why does it cost chaos orbs? Karak missions don't cost any currency. Map device does. Let's see. Sure. That seems like the last character I logged into. Might as well go in there. Probably even has my mate blood. We can check what the current cost. What's that sound? I think that was the sound of a Flask MTX. Holy. My internet decided it was done with life. Yeah, this is my mage blood character. All right. Oh, I don't have Awaken Trade open. I pressed F5 and I was like, I'll just wait for it to do its thing before realizing that, like, you don't have it open. Harbinger is 3 chaos. Harbinger doesn't show up. Yeah, of course, just my luck. Ritual Abyss. This does say map device crafting options have been removed under the character. I'm going to assume this just means map device. That's my assumption, which means that's another set level of. It costs more, but it's an extra deposit, which means we have 2 deposits coming from here, and I think you can get like 2 deposits coming from your scarabs, which I don't believe anything changed. Scarabs. I might end up doing King's March early on, simply because it's really good liquid currency. It's very good bubblegum currency, especially when you run into, I forget those nodes, whatever they're called. The square boxes that show up. Lost shipments, those guys. Especially in a league where I think currency would be a bit more rare. Am I blind? Where is Kalguran there? Yeah, you can have 2 of these. So 2 of these equal 4. Plus like 2 here, 2 map device, that's already 4. Then you throw in the 3, which will give you, I think, an extra 1 or 2. I think it's 1. Yeah, you get full chance for all deposits, and then increased chance to have at least 2. which would mean you can roll 2 naturally. So that gives you a max of like 6. I think. Yeah, I think it's 6. Yeah, it's 6. Currently it's 5, so +1 would be 6. All right. All right, so this is the leveling. Low budget, let's go. You can go. I don't know that I'm going to want to have the chaos res, especially on a reg defiler setup. I think it would be nice to have, but I think it's not that pressing on a low budget scenario. That being said, I don't think we are limited to just reg defilers. Yeah, we're not. Here we're still banking on having other minions. So skellies, zombies, you name it, we have it. I think this should have Triad's Grip, Bones, Jinx Juju. Why did I not mind Bones of Valor last league? I did mind it. I didn't mind it as much as I usually do, but I did, and I feel like it's because I had something else giving me movement speed. Does this setup have haste? I don't think it should. No, it has. Oh, I remember. It's because mercenaries allowed me to have haste. I think that is actually what happened. We need to make sure we remove any mercenary information here. So merc items need to go, and we need to plan around having to run the shit ourselves. So we're going to be using a purple store here, not a Jinx Juju. We're not going to have a mercenary, obviously. We're going to be. Do we care about an anime guardian this early on, or do we just want to save up for what's his face? I feel like we want to save up for Dark Monarch, and we don't want to really invest in an AG that we're going to lose anyways. I would prefer not to invest in an AG that I'm going to lose. Jesus. Stone Golem, I think, should be updated. Yeah, so we remove this one too. Okay, cool. So we have purple toe. We have to be a bit more careful with lightning damage we receive, which I'm inclined to almost get one of these, like this max res wheel, as opposed to here, which honestly should be the play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that's the play. I think we do 1, 2. That replaces 1, 2. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That gives us 80 something percent max res, 80% fire, and a 79 lightning. We can probably drop the fire, to be honest, so it's balanced across the board, and then go anti-CB. Yeah, I think that's the play. I like this one because it has some regen on it. There's some regen here. This could be something decent for regen as well to consider. But I think this is fine. I think this is fine. What does my block chance look like? 53, 61. If I go with roomies, 569. There's obviously easy areas I could get some block in. But I think because of the fact that lightning damage is lucky against me, I kind of want to just have a bit more protection. So the 4% res should be just slightly a counterpoint for that. Is there anything better I could do with those points though? Let me just make sure there's nothing. 1, 2. If I were to go here, this is already 5 points, so that's a big no. Could obviously go for something like this as a bit of extra block. But like CB immunity is huge this early on. That said, I don't think there are even that many sources of CB to worry about, but it's still nice to have. Obviously instant leech. We're going to be reserving most of my mana. We don't need precision anymore, so if we had precision, we need to remove it from our POBs. So we'll go through these one after the other and just make sure everything is good. Raise Spectre, Pierce, and Minion damage. That's cool. Raising Reverberation Rod. Yeah, so it has spell like cool control, destruction, yada yada. This is fine. Could even go Living Lightning here with Reverberation Rod if it's a spell-based minion. If it's not, then minion damage it is. Then here we have Shield Charge faster. Yeah, that's still fine. Skelly in your chest with zombies, lightning pen, volatility, multi-strike, minion damage. Volatility. I mean, we have lucky, so that's still fine. Everything else here is fine. Arcanist Brand, Curse, Flesh Offering, Desecrate. Good. Stone Golem, Feeding Frenzy, and then Automation Steel Skin. There's also a universe where we go to defensive graft. I forget the name of the guy. I can actually show it right now. What's his face? This one. There's a universe where we'll go something like Heart of Flame, where every 20 seconds, because that's a long ass cooldown. Every 20 seconds, it eats 80% of the damage you take from before for you, and it takes up to X amount of damage. I think that cooldown is very long. I know you can get stats on the actual item to reduce the cooldown, like the stat at the bottom of this. You know, skills used by this have increased cooldown recovery. Like, and I know that's a possibility. So we're not actually looking at 20 seconds versus 8.4 second duration. We can probably get cooldown and duration and try to reduce that downtime, but the likelihood. But then here's the thing. On top of that, you only need this when you are missing life. So if we're in a situation where we are not missing life, like let's say we have a tiny amount of ES to eat petty damage, then we won't actually need it until it won't actually proc until we are actually taking a healthy amount of damage. But we don't go ES, we're going Eldritch Battery. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I will plan around Steel Skin for now. I think Steel Skin is good or reliable. We don't really know how things are going to feel season mechanic power wise, but I think this is good or reliable. This is the good staple. Then we have Wrath, Purity of Elements, Tempest Shield. There's nothing here coming from Mercenaries, so the reservation is accurate. Yeah, I think I'm fine with this. We get Ailment Immunity here. We get Wrath. We get Tempest Shield, which is some block chance, spell block chance to be precise. I would realistically, let's see, can we do this? Nope, we cannot. I would realistically like to have a bit more, you know, block chance, but wait a second. Oh, we don't have the 12% mana reservation efficiency, eh? Let me just make, I mean, I don't think it will help me in any way. Can we fit in, we can use this to fit in another aura. Like Vitality. It won't fit in a 30% aura though, but let's just try. Flesh and Stone, it's 25%. It might be able to fit. Nope. It did not fit. It did not in fact fit. I think Flesh and Stone is 25, right? Yeah, so 35 is a long shot. So if I were to do something like that, it would have to be a Vitality aura that is set to like like level 11, which does give me a fair amount of life regen, to be fair. But that would lose me 3 points that I'm not making back. 3 points and a gem socket. And I don't really have free gem sockets. Not really. Like everywhere is tight. So no, let's not do that. Let's not. All right. I think this about covers the low budget. Can I get any amount of block here? Early on, enduring composure is expensive enough as is. Let's not increase the requirements. Let's just not. I think like enduring composure, if I remember correctly, can be like anywhere from like 20 chaos or something. So that's pricey for day one. So we're going to leave it at enduring composure and call it today. I don't want to add anything there that would obviously increase the price. Because who doesn't like block with your enduring composure if there is a block node? I do see 21 mana here and I'm thinking I kind of want to do something about it, but let's try something again. Let's just do some real quick. I see that 8 mana. And it makes me feel like I can maybe make up for it. But the way I'd make up for it is by getting more. No, getting more mana. I have no flat reservation, so it does nothing. All right, I think that's fine. Then medium budget Dark Monarch is probably what we're going to do, but this POB needs to be removed. It needs to be unmercenaried or whatever you want to call it. We need to remove the reliance on mercenaries, which are no longer in the game. So let's move leveling and low budget because I've worked on them. Let's create let's leave them here for now. Now medium budget Dark Monarch is what we're going to. This was the old medium budget POB, the one that didn't have mercenaries, and the one that might be easier to just, you know, make update for this season. But I'm going to go with this one simply because it would be a fair amount of work. It would be a fair amount of work, but this one would probably have like. Let's remove Doriani's prototype. We don't have Doriani's prototype right now. We can afford the Doriani's prototype, but we can't afford the conversion that we need with Doriani. So that's, and then let's remove these two. Now let's fix the issues because that is big. This side, we're going to have Blasphemer. That is not a problem. Guardian Turtle, not a problem. Forest Warrior, not a problem. However, my max minion count, we're going to have a +1 Spectre chest, I think. Should we go a +1 Spectre chest or should we just get a chest? +1 Spectre is obviously min-maxing the performance for the budget. But we are going to be replacing that extra Spectre. And when it comes to like the Dark Monarch helm, that means losing 2 Spectres. So we can't really rely on the extra 2 spots. So if we do it, we're literally doing it for 2 extra defilers. So it's easy to drop later on. That means that I need to remove one of these guys and put in... What is Mr. Lucky's name again? Spirit of Fortune. because I do think Jinx Juju is really big for defenses, and I do really like getting an early Jinx Juju. I love getting an early Jinx Juju, so it's probably going to be Blasphemer angle, because Blasphemer gives a very healthy smite aura is the thing. PoE DB. Perfect. Blasphemer. He gives a smite aura that puts players' smite auras to shame. You know, like his smite aura is not to be trifled with. Like, look at this. Look at this. 700 added lightning damage at 78. Compare that to a regular smite aura. Now, this is obviously without aura effect and whatnot, but this is a regular smite aura at level 20 gives a high end of, what's the aura here? Gives a high end of 220. Even if you get to level 30, still 400. That guy at level 70, which I think is like Minion Gem 26, or so, is giving up to a high end of 700. So to match it, you need to have aura. You can't match it with 40. You have to actually get like aura effect by like 35 or something to juice it to the point where it's even competing with this guy's level 78. And of course, if you take it to 90, it goes really high for every extra level. But that being said, because it's only 100% uptime, I think there's a slight downtime on the Blasphemer's aura. And I really like the Calling Strike provided by Forest Warrior, as well as the Onslaught. I think the Onslaught is really good. Because of these two reasons, I think it's a Blasphemer that's going to eat the dust. I think. Not 100% sold yet, mind you, but I think he's the one that we're going to drop. Onslaught is good for them. Calling Strike is good. Yeah, let's do that. So perfect Blasphemer becomes perfect Spirit of Fortune. Remove Blasphemer. We go Spirit of Fortune. And then we'll go Spirit of Fortune here. All right. Now let's deal with the elephant in the room. That's a big elephant. All right. First things first, delete. 20% more spell damage is really good. These two would be just really good to have, but we can't go full offensive. We have to actually think about our defenses. So first things first, haste goes off, wrath goes in. I think it's easy. Portal obviously goes off. Wall of Force might go there potentially. Would Wall of Force do? Yes, it would do more than Zealotry. I think, in my opinion, it should. Can I fit a Zealotry in here? For me to fit a Zealotry, I'd have to go All's Uprising, which I'm not going to go. Also, this setup drops Eldritch Battery, so I actually do need the mana to cast everything I need to cast. You do not meet the dex requirement. That's fine. I don't have stats on this setup, and honestly, it shouldn't even be level 20. Should be like level 15. Anything you can afford, you can handle dex wise. Then, if I remember correctly, Arcane Surge is fine, but what I did last league was I had Automation, Steel Skin, Arcane Surge, level 1. So whenever Automation procs Steel Skin, Arcane Surge would proc. But the problem is, Yeah, the only problem with this is you can't use cast when damage taking, which I personally prefer using cast when damage taking with my defenses because I personally prefer it because it allows the defensive to have a higher uptime when you actually need the DR. So I personally prefer cast when damage taken, but for the purpose of automating arcane surge and not needing to frost blink, we're going to do that, and then we're going to put convocation. I was convocation here. Convocation, I think, was here for the people who like automating convocation. I'm not a big fan of automating convocation, so I would never put it with automation personally. Yeah, okay. Just making sure. Turtle plus warrior. Think, am I going to have +1 Spectre chest early on and then drop it for Doriani? I think I will. I think it's leaving so much damage on the table, just not picking up 2 extra defilers. Like literally, that modifier right now is reading as 2 extra defilers. So I think it's still the play. You get a cheap one that already has like prefixes done, and then you just reforge reforge Fizz or reforge Ellie, and you go with that. That's the cheap way to do it. You're not really worried about the base or whatever. The main thing is you do that. All right, let's do that. So that would be beta buying points for +1 specters. +1 specter here, that is 6 specters, so we have 12. Is this going to be a league start? Most likely. As of this moment, it's what I'm planning to league start. Unless something really surprises me or takes me off guard and I really like something else that pops up, this will be my league starter. So we're going to have 3 support minions. We could go 4 and 8, to be honest. No. If I go 4 and 8, when I drop the chest piece, which I will eventually, I'm going to have to drop 1 support. Which again, that is actually not the end of the world. Really not. But I kind of don't want to do that. So let's go 9. 9 defilers. And then 3 supports. 9 defilers +1 spirits of fortune, and then the remaining 2 turtle and warrior go in there. Then what else are we looking at? Everything else I think is good. +2 minion, 1 multi-mod, attack speed and trigger, bone offering for block chance for us. We have shield charge with faster attacks. Wait, you don't have faster attacks, but you do have this one, and we are scaling quite a bit of attack cast speed. Alongside, well, we don't care about Mistress of, we do care about Mistress of Ruin, but not in the context of attack speed. What's my block chance? 65. Yeah, this would be so nice to have, but I can't afford it. That'll put me at level 100 for medium budget, which not the most realistic, I think. We're using endurance charge from enduring composure. What is this guy doing? This guy just has life and is an 8 passive with attack cast speed. That's fine. I think all in all this is fine. One thing I need to fix is Oh, there's nothing to fix, if I'm being honest. Yeah, this version doesn't have Doriani yet. Wait. There is something to fix actually. No, there is a lot to fix here. If this doesn't have Doriani, I need to spec more into minion damage over defense. This is very defensive skill because I was relying on Doriani as a big multiplier. Without Doriani, this is not going to have the damage I would like to have at this stage of the game. Yeah, we need to redo this tree. We're going to need to redo this tree. Why Plaguebringer over this guy? Because he gave early res. We don't care about not avoiding early res right now because we're not Doriani. The earliest we can run Doriani is after we get Sublime Vision, I think. Right? I would say that's a high budget switch. Without Sublime Vision, how are we? No, we don't use Sublime Vision. What am I saying? High budget, just high budget. Here we are using Sublime Vision for this variant on the high budget for the remaining 30%. If we don't want to use Sublime Vision, we can get 90% on the budget. To be honest, we get 20% from Exarch Shield, we get 20% from Watcher's Eye, and then we get 50% from this guy right here. That leaves us with 10% unaccounted for. But that could be a decent start to the Doriani grind. And that would give that setup a decent amount of damage. Wrong one. So this tree is... How is this tree doing in terms of damage? Damage. Not doing bad. Not doing bad at all in terms of damage. Let me see. I'm going to go to Frisia and I'm going to see when I do this swap to Doriani on Absolution. Was it mid budget or was it high budget? So the mid budget actually has the conversion, which means the mid budget does not use Doriani actually. So yeah, it is. I do typically consider it a high budget swap, which I think makes sense because that is when you're actually able to convert most of it. I went the Dawnbreaker route with Watcher's Eye here. 30% from Watcher's Eye, 20% from Dawnbreaker. This is the expensive part. This is the part that's up in the air. And because on Spectres we need our shield to be beta bind point, which did I actually see that it was beta bind point there? I don't know that I saw that. Yeah, it is. Okay. So we can't spare our shield slots, so we can't do that unless we want to leave 20% up to chance. And if we're trying to get 40%, that'd be too expensive for a medium budget. So yeah, we don't do Doriani here, but we do have to account for a bit more damage. Get pen here. What damage nodes do I want to take? Real talk. I kind of want to take a bit more in the way of damage nodes. This is probably a nice wheel to have now because I no longer need the chaos. This will have chaos res, so being able to spend here would save me a lot. Yeah, let's do that actually. Let's just go. And then let's take points from there. If I take these 2 points, 1, 2, it beats 1, 2, 3. So I save 3 points. No, I'm exactly where I was, but I have Sanctify now, which is some extra regen, some extra ES, some extra armor, yada yada yada. Yeah, I think this is fine. This will give me the chaos res I was looking for here. Wouldn't it be quite as tanky because we lose the life as extra ES, but we get a bit more damage in all the 12% increase damage nodes, and then the 6% chance for double damage, and we have fast Wretch Defiler shoot. I think this now has a decent amount of damage because realistically we have damage here. Damage, and then all the jewels and damage, if I forget that one. I think it should have a decent amount of damage. What are my links? Pierce, Empower, Control, Destruction. We remove Added Lightning. We don't go Added Lightning anymore. And then we go for... what's a good... what did I end up with in the high budget? I forget. Minion damage, I think, is what I end up going for. I don't like minion damage early on because it's less minion life and then there's no +1 level like awaken minion damage. So let's... I think high budget I actually do a go awaken minion damage. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think this is fine. I think this is fine. If we have to worry about minion survivability, we'll cross that bridge and get to it. However, I highly doubt that'll be an issue simply because we have Fortress Covenant giving us 11% block, and we have Bone Offering giving us 30-something% block, paired with Effect of Offerings giving us even more block. So not only are Defilers just naturally tanky, we're giving them a very healthy amount of block. Go with that. 7% block. So I don't think survivability will be an issue for this budget, and I think this should have enough damage. Let me just go through everything else just to make sure everything else makes sense in the context of new Doriani. Bitterbind, Dark Monarch, chest piece, gloves, boots, Jinx Juju for defenses, double rings with res. Why did I specifically put +40? Is it because I didn't want to put lightning res here? Yes, that's why. Okay. I was wondering why I put +40. Darkness Enthroned with cast speed. Why do I care about cast speed specifically? I think it's not about cast speed, it's just about differentiating the different ghastly eye jewels. I think that's the thing. So cast speed. The flat lightning is fine, but again, we're not actively looking for that much flat lightning. We should be... is there anything else we'd rather have? No. Prefix wise, maybe, but it'd be expensive. Honestly, if anything, it'd be defensive. I'll go flat lightning. It's still extra damage. So flat lightning is fine. There isn't much other choice in prefix position. The reason why we are... flat lightning is a good damage buff, but the reason why I'm not like losing my mind over it by any means is Wretch Defiler naturally just have insane base damage. Like this is level 78 up to 4,000 lightning damage. So by comparison, being able to add a high end of 65, I guess in this case it's like 100 and something lightning damage, is not the biggest damage boost. It is a damage boost, but it's just not insane. So these two I think would be nice, especially because Darkness Enthroned is multiplying them. So we have flat damage there. But more importantly, the cast speed I think I would say is more important than the damage. And then we have Same thing here. But then we're also looking to cap their chaos res just in case we run into some nasty chaos res or poison mods. You don't want your minions to die, especially your supports. Even with the current QOL patch they released or they teased, where your minions that die, you know, stay as wisps around you until you go to a new zone. I mean, it's nice QOL, but to just set expectations right now, we are not going to be taking advantage of it by any means. Reason being, it's not that great for pure Spectre build specifically. I don't think it's that great for pure Spectre builds because pure Spectre builds don't want to have less than their maximum Spectres for DPS reasons. But other than that, if you watch the teaser, which let me just play for you guys, but because it might help me explain what I want to say. So where's the QOL for Spectres? The fuck is Rambo Wizard? Oh, Fury 2. Okay. Spectre improvements.
Mark Roberts, game director on Path of Exile. In 327, the souls of your fallen spectres will now linger with you when they die, and on entering a new area, will automatically resume their normal spectral form. This means you no longer need to resummon a spectre that has died, unless you want it back in the area it died in.
That is the key there, unless you want it in the area it died in. Which means if you're, let's say, doing a T17 or doing whatever else, and your specters happen to die, if 1 dies, 2 dies, you're fine. If 5 die, you're now looking at suboptimal DPS for the rest of the map, unless you resummon them. So we are not looking to take advantage of this. We're not actually, it's not actually quality of life unless we just decide to sack the map and say fuck this and go to the next map, which, I mean, I don't think anybody wants to do that. So we are going to be banking on them, keeping them alive. So having extra chaos res is always nice. This will give them res, regular res. We have purity of elements also to give them res. So their res should be fine. Let me just confirm real quick. Wretch defilers, they have 96 overcap. That is wild. But their chaos res is 43 with the ghastly Igils. However, we don't actually know how much chaos res this would be given. So likely this will cap them at this point. Because those are four nodes, three small and 1 notable of chaos res. Is that's, I think, what they said here. The Grave Pact passive cost now grants chaos res of minion accuracy, and all these have minion accuracy, so all these ones should be chaos res, and chaos res. I also don't think it's going to be the same number, like 12%. It's possible that it is, but honestly, it could be, to be honest. But that'd be very strong compared to this, because this is, if this is 3 nodes of 12% and it's just 13, then this would have a way more chaos res than this guy. Way more. So I honestly expect it to be slightly less than 12%, maybe like 8% each node, and then this would be like 16%, 24%, thereabouts. That is my guess as to how much chaos res. But even at that, that is still in the 50% ish ranges, 45-50%, which more than caps them on chaos res, which is what we need. So we'll see what they actually, how much chaos res they actually end up giving us there. So defensively, they should be fine. Offensively, we should be fine. Characters have, my character itself has really good max hits, I think. Yeah. What are the warnings? Dexterity, that is fine. We don't have suffixes, so in game you just need to fix that. We don't need anything. Too many gems in weapon slot 2 or weapon 2. Which one is weapon 2? Too many gems in weapon 2. Isn't this weapon 2? What am I missing? The body armor, yes, because all these are being counted as body armor, but weapon 2. I'm so confused. This is weapon 2. And beta bind point can have 3. Oh. Oh. I know what the problem is. That was the problem. The beta bind point I might have copied or something. Probably just didn't have a third socket at the time when I copied it into POB. So that was it. That was why it was flagging as an error. All right. Those two are fine. Let's just make sure we have enough suffixes to go around for res and whatnot. That'd be 1, 2, 3. Honestly, even without these modifiers, we don't actually need much in the way of res to cap, because we have purity of elements, we have some aura effect going on there, we have items with generic res, chaos res coming from the Dark Monarch, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, it shouldn't be hard to fully cap this. Shouldn't be. Chaos res will probably just be the hardest because we have amethyst rings here, but realistically you can just have chaos res on way more pieces instead of having amethyst rings, and you're fine. All right, that about covers the medium budget. We will need to test this just to make sure it actually does have the damage required without Doriani. I think it should. Yeah, I don't know that you're going to be clearing like insane giga tanky T17 modifiers, but you can clear T17s on. You should be able to clear your first T17, get your map device, load everything you need to do with this budget. Then high budget defilers. I probably should have made a copy of these for 3.26. So I have a copy of that POB that I used during the League of the Mercenaries. I have it on my spreadsheet. It's fine. Dark Monarch high budget, let's go. So now we are going to be dropping you for a Doriani. I think I made this POB with the idea of being able to switch back and forth. I don't want the Merc ring. Let's remove all of these. Remove this. We have Doriani now. And because we have Doriani, what? We lose 2 minions. Now we're using Spirit of Fortune, Blasphemer. I don't want to use Warlord. I was using Forest Warrior before. I use Warlord because why did I use Warlord again? I think I use Warlord to make my Spectres a bit tankier with endurance charges. I feel like that was the why. I'm not using Immortal Call, right? No, I'm not. I believe that was the reason. Anyways, that means we're going to have 10 minions or 7 defilers and 3 supports. Lol 76, if only. Just crash your PC for free. Can you imagine 76 defilers on your screen shooting white bullet hell? You just kill your PC. Easy. Quickest way to kill your PC. We are 100% using Pierce. We're using Chain. So that we can chain off of Wall of Force. That is why. Do I keep Warlord for any reason? I don't think I do. I think I drop Warlord. You know what it could be? What's my Watcher's Eye? Nah, it's not Watcher's Eye. If I'm using Sublime Vision, I need Turtle for determination. I need Turtle. So Turtle, Blasphemer. Why Blasphemer? I don't need Blasphemer. Blasphemer is Smite. He's not needed. I can get Onslaught in its place. We Calling Strike. Do I have any other sources of Calling Strike here? I don't have supports. Wait a second, I do. They don't have Calling Strike. They don't have Calling Strike. I could give them Calling Strike. I don't want to. I'd much rather have Overcharge so Spirit of Fortune can shock for insane numbers. I think Min gave me the idea last league. Yeah, I much rather have Overcharge. So with that in mind, or do I leave Blasphemer though? 700 plus. We're looking at 700 plus, give or take, Flat Lightning. If Defilers have, say, 4K high end, that is still do I still have their POEDB open? What am I looking at? Defilers. Okay, 4.4K. And then Blasphemer is let's say 76. Duplicates. Raise Spectre. Let me just confirm the Spectre number for 25 or 26. 26 is 77. So at 77, we're looking at 726. So 726 over 4415. It's 16% more damage while it is up, but I do believe it doesn't have a perfect 100% uptime. I think it's like probably around like 90-95% uptime. Just because the Spectre waits for it to fall before reapplying it, and that is assuming the Spectre walks up to hit, which in a clear scenario you're not getting it, but in a bossing scenario you do get it. The spirit of what my choice here is Forest Warrior or Blasphemer, or just another Defiler, to be honest. We are tanky enough, I think. We don't need to worry too much from our personal safety. I'm inclined to just say Forest Warrior. Just A, feels better, B, is comfy. Spirit of Fortune has a Wrath Aura though. Maybe that should be a reason. How effective is Spirit of Fortune's Wrath Aura? I know it's not that great. It's not, brother. What are all these? Perfect Spirit of Fortune. 78. I guess 77. 18% more spell damage. If it's 18% more at this level, I have zero reason why I should run Wrath on my medium budget and not just go Zealotry. Why squeeze out an extra 2% more? Actually, there's like 3% more when I can have an extra 16% more. So if there's any I should be trying to fit, it's Zealotry. We don't care about anything else. We just care about the more spell damage. That's the only thing that matters, really. So medium budget is Zealotry. High budget would also be Zealotry we pick. All right. Does anything really change now? Still in the same conundrum? All right, we'll just go Perfect Forest Warrior for now. Like I said, I really like the call and I really like the onslaught. I do have a 12 link, which means I have a lot of attack cast speed, which means onslaught is less effective though. Onslaught is less effective. We don't really need it. We still have this, so shield charge should feel just as good. We have a lot of attack cast speed for them. But that calling strike though. Honestly, Blasphemer is probably the way to go. Especially when you consider that Blasphemer also applies Enfeeble, so you kind of get a slight defensive boost there as well. With its curses that just run around. Temp chains as well, even though you would never notice it. Is there any other aspect that I care about offensively? There is one, but I don't think that one is ever worth using in the current state of the game. But let's go. Dominated Primal Rex Matriarch. Thank you for knowing what I want. Thank you. It is a 10% increased lightning damage taking buff, which of course will be additive to shock. But because we cannot estimate how much shock we'll have, but I do know we overcharge. If I remember correctly, we can get like 30 something shock on sometimes. Other times it's like, I mean, yeah. I think we have decent shock with this guy's Rate of Fortune. Defilers are not shocking because they have 0 crit chance base, but these ones do well. Very well, actually. So the 10%, and keep in mind, I don't think it's 100% uptime. 8-second CD, 4-second uptime. Yeah, so it's a 50% uptime. So realistically, it's like 5% average increased lightning damage taken. So you don't use this spectre in the current state of the game. You just don't. I think it's very true too. I would rather have Carnage Chieftain over that. Carnage Chieftain. Three frenzy charges equal 12% more damage, and it's a multiplier, so it takes time to ramp. It would take time to ramp, but it should be more damage than both of them combined, and I still get the extra QOL of having the attack has speed. Downside, Carnage Monkey is on the squishier side. Wait, but wait, hold up. Wasn't... No. Blasphemer was was a bigger multiplier for damage than this is. Blasphemer was about 16% more damage with, like, I mean, I can't really calculate the uptime because it's practically full, but let me see if I can. Do I have any? Let me pull up a showcase video. I don't really have showcase videos, but defilers. Are we looking at high budgets? Leveling guide, build guide. Dark Monarch. Yeah, this one. So Ita is a bad showcase for this because I can't see I can't actually see. I think this is better. I can't actually see the buff. Oh, where's the smite? I'll try to find it. Thing is, I will need to also be in range of it, which I'm not actively trying to stay in the range of it. And everything is dancing, so I can't really pinpoint. Do I even have my what's his face here? Let me see. Do I have a Blasphemer here? Where are my support minions? I see Turtle. I don't see Onslaught. Do I see curses on the enemies? You know, it's funny, we went a whole season using 2 convocations, 1 and 2. And I just ate it like it was no big deal, but god damn, 2 convocations in this season. I'm going to be happy just going with my 1 button now. I see Spirit of Fortune. I see Turtle. Yo, what? Let me look at my videos, please. I don't think I have Blasphemer. No, I do. This is 100% a smite. And I can't see. Anywho, I think that was a smite. No, it might have been this guy's lightning warp. I don't have it. I didn't have it here. This is 9-2, so this is without Blasphemer. I could have just checked here if I'm being honest. Like, I completely forgot to check. There's only 2 supports here, Spirit of Fortune and Turtle. Alright, cool. Anyways, the uptime is like 95% simply because the minion waits for it to fall before reapplying it. That being said, let me actually think about its positioning. It's melee, so it tries to walk up. The filers spread out, so I think it's wide enough to where they benefit from it. But I also think it's wide enough that he benefit from it. But I also think there'll be some that'll run out of its range. So it's not a perfect 100% uptime on every single minion, because some might flee out of his range even in a single target. But because he will be on the enemy that matters, they are more likely to be in its range because it's a circle around him, right? But with the monkey, we don't have to worry about range because that shit is near screen wide, essentially. His cry or his frenzy charge, whatever. Do we need to worry about anybody else? Onslaught will 100% cover everybody. We don't have to worry about Onslaught. It's really wide range, and his calling strike is, of course, going to apply. I think we go Forest Warrior. I think I'm sold now. What's the worst part of Forest Warrior or Carnage Chieftain? Carnage Chieftain is the fact that, like, against a boss like Katarina that's taking her time to phase, literally spending like 10 plus seconds phasing, you're going to drop charges, so then you have to start stacking them back up again. So you're going realistically in a fight like that, you're only getting 2 frenzy charges, not 3, because every single time you get the second one, she's phasing, if not even before she's phased. So there's that. That's the downside of Carnage Chieftain. Forest Warrior's downside is Onslaught. Here we have how much attack cast speed. For, I mean, anybody would do, but we have 143% increased. And this is including Onslaught, I think. Yeah, it's including Onslaught. So realistically, we don't need as much. Okay, so this is basically 16. This is still 16% more cast speed, to be fair. Even with this, and this is assuming you have all the items here that will give you as all this attack cast speed. Which this is an expensive item to make, the bone ring, because you need minus lightning res. Which, by the way, should be here. Minus 90% to lightning resistance. I think 90% is a good number. It's a very high roll. Minus 200 before I forget. So yeah, that's 20% more cast speed, technically, as well as having calling strikes. I think Onslaught does still take the cake. Plus, I just like Onslaught, and I think it has the best uptime average among all the options there. All right. Asides that, now back to the elephant in the room. Good old minus 800. What's his face? Minus 800. Reservation. I'm using Sublime Vision, so I can't run Zealotry. Where are my auras? We have Spirit of Fortune to give me Wrath. Who gives Zealotry? Who gives Zealotry again? I don't remember. Zealotry. I feel like it's like corpses. Pain artists. This is useless on defilers. How good is your zealotry, if I may ask? Kind of us, 12% more. He does have pretty good shock though. Decelerating projectile as Mary Demon explode. That said, he has ass for life, so fuck no. We're not dealing with that. If crit multi was an option, then sure, but it's not. So pain artist is a no. Oh, why did I close it? Pain artist is a no. We have to live without zealotry. We do have all this mana to work with. Do I care about eating up a bit more of it? I don't think so. I need more ints. Where did my ints go? Why do I need int? Let me look at my items. Unetals for the extra support gem. I really like Unetals. Let's keep that. These two already come with int. I get up to 192. Oh, it's because I dropped this guy. That's why I need int. I actually need to figure out the int situation now. I could drop one of these for int, but I feel like that's asking for something very specific. So instead, I think it makes sense to drop. I think it makes sense to drop like a jewel for int. Something like convert all the strength nodes here to int. I just need to figure out who the weakest link is here. Who is the weakest link? I think Rational Doctrine is the weakest link, realistically. But I really like having that Consecrated Ground. I think the Consecrated Ground feels very nice to have. So, what is the alternative? What is the alternative for ints? That's 1 point. Do I have a point to spare? Yes, I do. Yes, indeedy. I do have that. So we pick up Ancestral Knowledge. And now it's a case of one of you needs 2 more ints. Do I not have any other sources of ints anywhere? None of my uniques have ints. Also, Doriani's prototype being anti-crits, not bad. What is my actual crits protection though? Just the 50%? Okay. I mean, in that case, I'll keep the 50% from Doriani. Call it a day. Otherwise, I could have done... Where's Doriani? I could have maybe gone for max chaos res. Or reduce chaos damage taking will probably be the highest EHP increase. Yeah. But I think +2 minion is also not bad. So +2 minion will reduce extra damage from crits. I'm inclined to go for reduced extra damage from crits while also going for bitter bind points corruption for crit reduction as well. If I can find crit bitter bind points. There. Seeing as this is the high budget, we might as well do this. Where's crits? This doesn't have crit reduction. What is one it did? Oh well. Will that go block spell or block AD? I think I go block AD because I have spell suppress. So I'm less bothered by blocking spell because whatever gets through, we're just eating half of it. Or I guess 40% now because they nerfed that shit. That reminds me, I still need to cap my spell suppress. I need to cap my spell suppress because I lost my chest. I think this can have spell suppress. But yeah, none of these nodes that I'm looking at currently have spell suppress, so we'll just make do with this for now. Or go for slightly more dexterity. Let's try that actually. 90%. What does this do? Let's spell suppress 91. Oh, it's just 1%. They will probably end up getting something that is less PDR and more PDR / spell suppress. That could also be an option. So let's revisit this guy. Because I think last time, during the actual season, I ended up getting spell suppress on my boots, which was very lucky. So I didn't need to worry about spell suppress elsewhere. But now that we're losing the chest piece from, you know, having craftable spell suppress, and we can't corrupt spell suppress on the Doriani. I also need to free up space for Wall of Force. That is something I need to remember to do. So what is the weakest link for Wall of Force? Everything's still good if you only use 6 ascendancy points. Would be nice to have some flexibility for the bloodline. As of this moment, the only mandatories we have are like 1, 2, and 3, and this is more mandatory so we can have block. Without this, we lose a decent amount of block chance, but it's still not the end of the world. We can even get more damage without this because we can go flesh offering. So we can we're flexing with this and potentially this, depending on how good the bloodline ascendancy is. But this is the flex currently. This is not needed. It is nice to have. I just came what spectre build am I cooking? I'm currently updating my Red Filer guide, as this is likely what I'll end up league starting. Once we're done with Red Filers, I intend to take a look at Summon Phantasm. I keep forgetting the name. Summon Phantasm. Because I think there's some potential there, and I just like the idea of having like 40 something of them running around shooting stuff, especially after last season's buffs. I think they are probably in a healthy spot. I fear for the defenses on like a Summon Phantasm setup, because last season when I was thinking about it, I would have mercenaries to help shore up my defenses because they could give me auras that I didn't have access to. Now I don't. You know, mercenaries are gone, so I have to figure that out. But I think it should be fine. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. In the meantime, what are we doing? We drop 3 points here to cap our spell suppress. We have this set up so we can get as much spell suppress as possible with, you know, cold res, cold res, cold res, cold res. All these being good sources of that. Is there an easier source? I guess one thing we could do is we could also drop some life nodes here in favor of like spell suppress and still take these nodes. It all depends on how our damage feels, but I think at minus 200 we should be fine. Realistically, we should be fine. Spirit of Fortune Warrior. Aspect of the crab is still big. Curse. Where are we going to free up space for Wall of Force? Wall of Force. Wall of Force. I suspect it's going to be replacing something here. Sniper's Mark is really nice to have, especially because it just increased proj damage taken. No reason not to have it, especially since we can't actually reduce their res. Frostblink Convocation are kind of mandatory. Steals can cast when more duration. That's a space that can go in. Honestly, here we move Tempest Shield. We go for Wall of Force here. The reason being is we probably want a lot of duration on Wall of Force because, like I think I was showing this earlier, but let's unmute it.
And dangerous kinetic force. Wall of Force creates a barrier of kinetic.
Watch how quick this goes. This is going to be very big DPS increase when it's up because the Defilers are going to chain the living daylights out of the boss that's in front of this wall.
Power. Causing ally.
However, look how quickly it dropped. There's two scenarios with Wall of Force. It's either it has a duration and it's short AF, in which case we have to scale duration a bit, which we're in the lucky spot of being able to scale duration in the form of this giving us some duration, as well as being able to put like more duration on it. We'll probably have to separate from cast when damage taken is the only problem. But we'll figure that out. Maybe Steel Skin loses more duration and then that just goes on Wall of Force. I don't know yet. We'll see. But it's either that, or more likely, and we don't know this for a fact by any means, you know, this is all just conjecture, is it could be a projectile amount. It could be that the Wall of Force has it will chain 20 projectiles, and by the time it's done it disappears. Maybe that's what we're seeing here. Because of the number of projectiles they actually end up shooting, it ends up going very quick. Those are the two scenarios I can envision Wall of Force following, the two rule sets, if you will.
Wall of Force creates a barrier of kinetic power, causing
like
allied
it goes
projectiles
very
to
quick.
ricochet towards targets automatically. Drop one behind a boss and redirect the bolts of your armies. I'm sure you'll find ways to break this one.
But the good news about this one, about Wall of Force, is even if it lasts not long, let's say it lasts a second, during that 1 second, all your defilers, let's say you have, in this case we have 7 defilers, we're giga scaling cast speed. This means they're going to shoot how many? I don't know if POB is accurate on this. If I'm being very honest, I have zero idea if it's actually accurate or not, but it says 3 casts a second. So let's say it lasts 1 second. That means all 7 of them will cast 3.5 times in that 1 second. Now, if all 7 cast 3 times, that is 21 casts. Each cast has 8 projectiles. Now, typically in a single target scenario, let's be conservative. Let's say only 3 or 2 projectiles. You can get more depending on your position. You can get less depending on positioning, but let's just say average 3-ish projectiles hit the boss. The remaining 6 get missed because they shoot in like a cone. So the 3 hits, they do their thing, the rest go. Now, when those projectiles hit the wall, assuming we have chain support in it, which is why we have removed Pierce and we're just going Awakening Chain here as like it's not even an option anymore. But so long as we have chain here, those 6 projectiles that previously missed the boss will hit the wall and slap the boss again. And I assume that even the projectiles that hit the boss might, if they chain in the right direction, I guess they could still hit the wall and come back to the boss. I'm not entirely sure on the specifics. Mark doesn't go into detail here, obviously, but either way, going from 3 projectiles per minion to 9 projectiles per minion hitting is a huge amount of DPS, even if it's for a second. So if that is all we're doing, on top of Person, on top of Doriani doing minus 200, I think that is insane damage. Personally, like I don't think we need more damage than that. Like, that is a stupid amount of like different multipliers there. And if it's duration based, then realistically, let's say it's 1 second base, that means we can probably get it up to like 1.52 seconds. So whenever we have even the slightest breathing room, our damage is going to skyrocket. Just instantly skyrocket. So we'll see. We'll have to see. But I think the more likely scenario is that it's going to be gated by projectile count. In which case, if it's gated by projectile count, maybe we decide to, maybe there'll be other more efficient ways to use it, like cast when damage taken or something. We'll see.
Targets automatically. Drop one behind a boss and redirect the bolts of your armies. I'm sure you'll find ways to break this one.
And he does say army, so like we are already 100% sure that allies or minions can use it. I think he also says allies earlier, if I'm being honest, at the start of this clip. I think he says allies.
Force creates a barrier of kinetic power, causing allied projectiles
there. So yeah, like we already know it will work with defilers, like your allies, but the question is, what other variables are there? Also, I don't think I care much for Predator, if I'm being honest. I mean, since we're going to be trying to use Wall of Force, I don't want to have to click an extra button if I don't have to. So that would mean dropping Mark and then just focusing entirely from that moment on Wall of Force and just up time on it. I think that makes the most sense. So we're going to be dropping Predator here for something. I don't know what yet. Besides, I think Predator is a mark, but it can stay beside Sniper's mark, if I remember correctly. That being said, what even makes sense? We cannot go for pen. Makes 0 sense. Slower Proj is an option, but it's not just 19%. Who cares about 90%? Elemental Army is probably more damage than that, and it comes with the added benefit of, well, I guess it's about the same, and it comes with giving them res. Honestly, if everything looks shite, I'll just go Empower 4. But that's if everything else looks shite. I don't think it should. No, we don't go for a weekend added lightning. What if it went Energy Shield Leech? The current state of Energy Shield Leech means if my minions are actively taking damage, they are limited to, what was it, 20% increased? 20% increased damage from the gem, which is obviously us. However, yeah, this is the one. However, when they are full ES, i.e. not taking damage, they have 24% more damage, which is kind of fine. I think we can do better though. We can't go pen, we can't go flats. Those are wasted. We already have everything else we needed. We can't go crits. What options do we have? I think it's just an empower angle, if I'm being very honest. Get more levels, equal more. What level are we at currently? 27. So that is 27, 27, 27. I don't remember. I'll check. Duplicates. Ray Spectre. And then you go back to you. Yeah, cool. So 27 is currently level 78, which is what I typically check. So at 78, yeah, it's rather. Yes, 4,000. The 6,000 it was shown, I think, was level 90 most likely. So if I had to get an Empower 4, that'll give 3 levels. 3 levels will literally add 3 levels. So 78 to 81. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Put it at level 30, 81. At 81, we're looking at from 4,400 to 5,200, which is a difference of like 800. %18 more damage, give or take. Again, pretty decent. Up all the time. Can we do better? 49% increased cast speed. Let's see. So we have 131 right now. That is 37% more cast speed. Roughly. Roughly 37% more cast speed. Honestly, that might be the play. Faster casting might be the play. Is there really nothing else? We already have control destruction. We have... Do we have early focus? We should. Yeah, we do. We have early focus already. I think that's just all that matters here. Genuinely, I don't think anything else matters. So we're likely just going to go faster casting instead of Predator. Predator would have been the biggest single multiplier, but I don't have to press that button. It's just very inconvenient. It's just very inconvenient. So we go from 3 point something, 3.56 to 4.3. So it literally just fits in almost like almost an extra attack or an extra cast. Slightly off of an extra cast, but really good. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm actually fine with that. I should add a note about Wall of Fours. Take off all the mercenary comments. No longer needed. Dude, what is all these colors? Switch Perfect Warlord with Forest Warrior, I believe. No, this is wrong. We're going 7 Defilers. I'm going to 3 of these. So Blasphemer goes, I believe. So it's Blasphemer. It's Turtle, Spirit of Fortune, Forest Warrior, right? Yeah. That is correct. That is indeed correct. With all this cast speed, I'm almost inclined to try to go for Righteous Army instead. But nah, who needs that? What about Chaos Res though? This is easy. Chaos Res is right there. I might even get to save points. I don't want to drop this life wheel. But I guess if I drop it... No, I don't get access to this guy. It's too far. Let's see. We have full stack here. Drop that. Pick this up. 1 point too much. Drop that from here. This might be better because we no longer need as much. We no longer need this amount of attack speed. To be fair, no such thing as so much attack speed. Wait, why on earth? Why would you do that instead of just doing that? There is one problem. We went here. That is two intelligence nodes. Now we have just the one, which is pretty decent, no? I guess I could do this. Drop that. Could do that. That gives us as much int as we had. And we just need one of these guys to have slightly more int. I feel like this is essence level int, right? If I'm relying on one of them high rolling into a 56 or 57, or both of them rolling into 56, I feel like it's a bit too tight. Just slightly. So let's figure out what else we can do on the int front. What is an easy source of int that we can use? Obviously, none of these. There is no easy way out of it. That's just the honest truth. How much increased damage do I have? Let's compare. Increased damage wise, I have 417. Increased cast speed, I have 100 and whatever. Increased damage wise, so it's going to give me 10, 10, 20. So that's 40% increased damage, which is chill. Here, this is 12, 24, 36. So 36% increased damage, and then a 6% chance to double damage, which is of course kind of nice because of how fast you're going to be casting. So with 4 attacks a second, or 4 casts a second, that is going to be it's more than 1 in 20. So a double damage hit, so an extra hit every 5-ish seconds. That is not a lot. I mean, one way to look at it is it's 6% more damage, multiplicative, because it can happen at any point, and it's an extra hit whenever it does. So it's 6% more damage because it's the only source of double damage we have. So it is really nice to have, and it is defensive as well, giving us chaos res, which makes it so we're more safe to chaos nodes or chaos modifiers. Yeah, let's leave it as is. Then, like I said, Force of Woke would likely be here. And in terms of what it replaces, it probably replaces what? By the way, does this count? Wait a second. This doesn't count Onslaught. Yeah, I said Onslaught, Arcane Surge. Nearby minions have Arcane Surge. Allies? What is Arcane Surge's effect currently? 20% increased cast speed, mana regen. Arcane Surge. It is 20%. 20% increased cast speed. I'll just do it that way. Minions have Arcane Surge. That should work. Okay. 20% increased cast speed. Arcane Surge. Bitterbind point. So yeah, even more cast speed. So I don't think we need to sweat dropping this, and we're, in terms of increased damage, we're slightly behind, 4% behind. But instead of sweating the 4%, we have 6% more damage here. And of course, we also have the Chaos Res. So I'm very fine with the change in the tree being this. I do still think we need to worry about Chaos Res a tiny bit. Or Chaos Res Intelligence, rather. Like picking up just a random intelligence node. Like switching this to Dorian's prototype definitely makes things a bit tighter. Like definitely. It's not even a question. It makes me think, do I really want Unetol's Vow, or do I want something else here? What is the alternative? The alternative is +3 minions, so Dragonfang's Lights. But that doesn't help me with my... Oh no, it does. It does have all attributes to it. So it does help me with intelligence. And I get 3 levels on there. But the problem is, because of where I'm getting the 3 levels, because, you know, it's in my current state, I would be getting... What was that calculation we did earlier? Like 18% more damage? Yeah, 18% more damage with 3 level increases. Whereas... the extra support gem is elemental focus, so that is 39% more damage, so almost double. But I guess that would mean I can drop faster casting for that, so that is slightly less. But again, this faster casting allows us to not get the cast speed here. So like there's all these cascading effects. I think it's worth it to have this amulet, but that being said, it is kind of rough. Why? Holy, why are y'all not showing? What is going on here? Why can I not see you? Like, why, what is this bug? So from like helmets down, like from body armor down to like, wasn't belt just showing like now? Didn't I see? I could have sworn I saw mage blood. Anyways, I really can't be asked. I really can't be asked. It's bugged. Oh well. Maybe Wraith Lord has something to do with it. What if I were to just yoink Raid Lord out of here. Would that help? How did I know that shit would help? I knew it. It's a bug Raid Lord, and the reason being is... Wait, what? It's fine. Well, Raid Lord is here. I assume it's a Raid Lord bug because we Raid Lord, it creates 4 extra spots. So maybe because it's in the POB is preparing for it or something. So I don't know, man. I don't know. That doesn't matter too much anyways. So yeah, this is better than Dragonfang's flight, especially because Dragonfang's I think still has early res, which would be negative, but it does allow me to have a bit more in the way of attributes. I don't have to rely on my ring to have attributes because that's asking for a very, very big ring. To be fair, we can drop the attack cast speed for int. I think that is fine. What if we just go for an empty suffix? What do we do here even? We get +2 Spectre on the suffix. No, we essence int until raise Spectre. We reforge chaos on the prefix. We elevate raise Spectre. That removes the prefix. And now we have a 2 suffix item that we can clear prefixes and craft for the rest. So we can, in theory, craft this in such a way that there's a 3rd suffix available, in which case we can then craft everything, like can have up to, and then craft prefixes while blocking suffixes. And then by the time we're done doing all of that, we clear our crafted modifiers and then put a crafted suffix. That being said, we lose max life here, and I don't want to lose max life here. I don't like the idea of losing max life here, so I don't wanna. So I don't think that would be something I would want to do personally. So let's think other solutions. What are other solutions here? Do we have any jewel here that, you know, maybe has int? Obviously, this guy can have int, but that's asking for a lot from the jewel. Not to mention, I think he already has dexterity. Why does he have dexterity? I can get dexterity here as well for a point. I guess I do need a lot of dexterity, so it helps get my sniper's mark as high level as possible. But realistically, I just need this to be as much as I can handle, so it doesn't need to be more than the level I'm at. I'm not too worried about dexterity, I don't think. Actually, no, I do want it to be high level because that increases the damage it does, but fine. $5,272. Slightly more. Would rather not have to deal with that. Okay, slightly more. I just felt like I should check. Is there somewhere we can path that just has int? 1, 2, 3 would be closest int pathing. But that's an extra 1 points spent. Let me make sure Dark Monarch has nothing with corrupted that will help me in my current predicament. No? Okay. Okay. You win. Small cluster it is. Because at this point, we might as well. Int. There. Gives us a slight edge. This gives 13 int. You're chilling. So much so that we can actually drop this ball. Let's leave it overachieving, I think. Is it overachieving? Yeah, it is overachieving by 1 point. So we'll leave it as is. It's a bit easier to hit without literally getting everything we need. All right. What else? Am I forgetting anything? We're going to worry about fitting Wall of Force into this after the league, and I've tested it. I don't want to fit it before the fact and then realize it's ass or whatever else. I would rather not do that. So let's wait until the league and test that before we do anything in that skill department. But that being said, is there anything here that we would like to remove or change or whatever else? I don't think so. I think we're fine. Bloodline ascendancies, we have this point, and if push comes to shove, we have this one. But I'd rather not drop the block. But there's no universe where we drop anything in this vicinity, so it might just be a block angle. Respect our tree to have a bit more block on it. Maybe pick up stuff here. Maybe drop spell suppress so we can cap our block. There's many avenues as to what we could do to account for dropping the block from here. Many things we can do, so not too worried about that. But I think this about covers all the POBs we need to update for the league. Took longer than I expected, to be honest, but I'm happy with where they're at. 7-3. I'm just making sure I really don't forget anything that's obvious, because we're going from a merc setup to no mercs. So like maybe I just want to make sure there's nothing I was relying on that we have Guardian Turtle for the determination aspect. That's fine. I just want to make sure there's nothing obvious that I'm forgetting that I was relying on mercenaries for that I no longer have access to. Go through all the items. Minions are aggressive. This looks so weird. I'm pretty sure I can do that better. Let me see. How did they do fractured again? This was how they did fractured, but like it's not showing as fractured, I guess. So I had to specify it that way. Doesn't matter. You're good, you're good, you're good. Doriani, you're fine. These two are chilling. Honestly, Wyvern Gauntlets. Delete. You know what? Let's leave that in. We never know when we'll need mercenary, because mercenaries are going core, right? So we'll just leave that in to be ignored. Ignore past content. Ignore this past content. All right. Which Spectre do you want to use here? This is for Defilers. Wretched Defilers. I'm going to have to update my spreadsheet for 3.27 to have these POBs as well. But I think that will be something I do tomorrow. Maybe. Yeah, this is the high budget POB for my Wretched Defiler setup. It's a bind points, Dark Monarch, Doriani, Wyvern Scale, Unatal, Bone Ring, Calandras to reflect that. This isn't quality, it can be qualityed for even more effect, you know. For Genesis, then all the flasks. We go Sapphire for the max code res, but we really don't need more code res. And then Amethyst. We have Storm Shroud for the chance to avoid. I wonder if Perfect Hydras will be viable now that they won't disappear. There's two things with Perfect Hydras. They've kind of been viable, but like not great. But the reason they are really like not great, like I think the thing that holds them back the most is the fact that they have no auto attacks. So their DPS really feels it. They only have abilities, and when they're not casting abilities, they are walking around doing nothing. Now their abilities have like short-ish cooldowns. I think the lowest cooldowns are like, yeah, 2 abilities that have 3-second cooldown, and then 1 that has like 8-second cooldown. When it's not doing any of these 3 abilities, it's not doing anything. So now that we have a bit more DPS or cooldown reduction coming on the tree from in the form of like a mastery, 20%, that 3-second CD is going to go down to 2.5 seconds, which would be a pretty healthy DPS boost for them compared to like this patch. So that should help them be more viable in that regard. I want to try them with the new Hallowed Monarch helmets. I think that helmets will be baits, but I think I want to try them eventually just as a fun side project. See if I can stand links. I know I can't. I've tried it multiple times. Can't, but I'll try once again. I'll cope myself into trying it and seeing if they can work with it, because in theory they should be one of the bigger recipients of the Hallowed Monarch of Headhunter, because they have base phase and they convert to code. Because they have base phase, all the sources of phases extra that rare monsters have, they benefit from it. Most modifiers they benefit from. The one modifier they wouldn't is Soul Eater, but they would already have Soul Eater from the supports the jewel Undying, the Undying Hates. Fuck is that called? The Undying Rage. What is your name, my guy? Unending Hunger, that's the one. So they only benefit from Unending Hunger or from Soul Eater, because they are gate kept by CDR, so that'd be a big DPS nerf, but they benefit from every other modifier. Alternatively, Kyrie's Watch should also be good. So, and I think they should be interchangeable, and because you don't need accuracy, you don't need accuracy, so you can just scale as much damage as possible with both of these specters and profit. Kyrie's Watch are also, I think, tankier than Hydras, and Hydras also have the downside of being squishy. I forgot to mention that they are also squishy, because why not? So without the less damage from the Hallowed Monarch helmet, they will see deaths here and there. You won't have to replace them, but if you have enough die in the map, you might have to abandon your map, which is not great. So there's that. But I guess with the points you save not going for accuracy, you might be able to go into more defenses and make them survive-ish. You probably would need to get Decay Ward on them to keep them alive. I will try. I will try to make Hydras work again because I think I've had a lot of fun with them in the past, and I would like to do that again. That being said, in the past, I think they had slightly shorter cooldowns, so it wasn't as bad. Let me see. I do have a build way back when where I played Hydras. If I can find it. Where are you at? The first league Hydra was here. There, I think it's this guy. I think it's this guy. Yeah, it is this guy. This was Affliction, so they were in a stronger spot as you might imagine. But just because they have such insane coverage, I think it would be very fun to see them with rare monster modifiers and go from there. I'm sick of the old Spectres. I want new Spectres. I really want new Spectres, but every season I test a bunch of Spectres that end up not working, but I also have a few situations where they do end up working, even if it's suboptimal. I've had a few good Spectres actually over the years. Of course, we had the Hydra build. I think at some point, I don't know if I made a video on this, but I think I had Wretched. What are the Necrotic Bones? I don't think I made a video on it. Looking at this, I don't think I made any video on it because I think it was a Necropolis build. So yeah, I didn't make a video on it. But yeah. Is the same meta, Defilers and Forge Frostbearers? Yep. That is the current meta. It's very still. It's in need of a shakeup, but I mean, nothing is in the current state of the game, nothing is beating Doriani. That's just the reality. But B, I do think there's like side projects you can have in terms of minions that are not Spectres that you can like that were not possible before. As an example, last league there were many golem builds like Flame Golem that were viable for cheap because of the Elementalist rework. That is still pretty viable this league, even if they ate the nerf to increase effect of golems. It's still viable. There is also with Dark Monarch that also enables Summon Phantasm as a build overall. It also enables Summon Phantasms as a build, which I personally find kind of interesting. I don't think there's much. Let me try to find if there are videos on it. Last time I checked, there weren't that many. PoE 3.26 Summon Phantasm. This is a month. I didn't see it. But he has an, is this an aging? This is a merc. Okay. In theory, now with the new helmet Dark Monarch, you can have 40 something Summon Phantasms. $44. You plan on going Arakalis? You know, I actually have never tried Arakalis. I keep saying I will eventually, I just haven't so far. The only downside is summoning them. Yeah, you have to use Cyclone to summon them. You have to use Cyclone to summon them because you're going to use Cyclone to trigger offerings, and you want to trigger, I think, like 3 different offerings so that they all summon Phantasms because you're going to be using the Soul Rest stuff. Or do you mean Arakali? Oh yeah, Arakali summoning is so-so. Very so-so. I hear it's kind of jank with bosses and corpses, and because you have to summon off of corpses, but you have to do you have to use like flasks and you have to be worried about like where the worms land or something like that. Or something like that. All right, so what does the clear look like? I'm more concerned about clear to single target damage, but this is honestly not bad damage. That being said, it did look like if it looked like a Doriani Merc, which I assume it might be the case. Wear gloves. Yep, it's lightning. It's Doriani. It's funny how I could just see the mercenary like, yeah, that looks like a Doriani Merc. That looks like a Doriani Merc. Now I wouldn't be going Doriani on this. I would want to do something other than that. Probably end up going Chaos, to be honest with you, Unholy Minds. Which would open up Poison. Beginner's Heal now lingers for a second after you step out of it. Nice. Nice, pretty nice change. 2 12 passive clusters, which means how is this looking defensively? Has some pretty good max hits, to be honest. Zealotry, Enfeeble, Temp Chains, Wrath. Okay. What are you doing? Doppelganger enemies. Oh, you're using Doppelganger's guys. Okay. How much life do you have? You have 5k. With all these uniques, how? Actually kind of curious now. 100%, so not the most from the tree. What are you getting here? Divine Flesh. So wait, is he running Doriani? No. But he has negative lightning res. And he's converting all his damage to cold res. Does he have purity? He has sublime vision rather. Yeah, he has sublime vision. Poison will be meta in my opinion, which is our Kali. Will Poison be meta this league? It will depend on the bloodline ascendancy for minions, I think. That will determine the meta. Simply because that's what people would like to play around with. But that being said, Poison has been very strong for quite a while, so wouldn't surprise me. It should be easy to get to DPS cap too. Aspect of the spider, yada yada. The fans of Destiny is kind of interesting too. Big bone ring here. Mage blood reprogenesis. 1,000 life regen. Oh shit, where is that from? Oh, doppelgangers when hits 10%. That is a lot of regen though. Okay, fair. That is a lot of regen. Poison has been good. That's an 9% of medium builds. I don't think it was better than early crit late game, obviously. Oh, this build is not poison. This build is Doriani. This was a Merc build. It's a Doriani Merc. So I'm just thinking of what I would do with Soul Rests or what's his face? Summon Phantasms. Because like realistically, I can go Doriani. That's just the boring way out, I think. I think going Doriani Reg Defilas early on is fine because it's going to be the strongest start you can have, especially when you're looking at Breach. But if I'm looking for a second build, I'd want something for fun. And I think this is a decent for fun build that can end up being strong. That said, I'm not going to run it if it doesn't have good defenses. So I'm going to need to figure out what I want to do. What are you doing? You have a bunch of flat fizz, which of course you're converting, and a lot of... Why do you have so many jewels? So many red jewels? Do you really want flat damage that much? I mean, you kind of do, because this does have flat damage, but Summon Phantasm's weakness has always been flat damage. So I guess you do want red jewels. In terms of unique, he isn't using anything that's mind blowing except Doppelganger's guys. Doesn't that opens my eyes at least. Doppelganger's guys is an interesting choice. The idea I have been playing with personally, you have one, two. What is the reason to use Awaken Caswell channeling up instead of Caswell channeling? Does the proc rates change? 0.35, 0.3. Ignore stun whilst using supporter skill. Okay, so that's what you do. So, oh. So with this, you don't need to worry about stuns. Because you should always be channeling. You don't worry about stuns. You don't need like immutable force or anything like that. And that's fair. That's a pretty decent reason to invest. Do you need to... How much cast speed is this scaling for? Cyclone. 226% because he has this, right? I think that's enough. Okay. This one is fair. This is a fair version. Let's see what the clear looks like for Phantasms. Because I think my biggest worry with Phantasms is how far their projectiles go. I feel like I remember hearing faster proj is basically mandatory on them, or it just feels kind of ass to play. I think it was Summon Phantasm. I don't remember. Let's mute that. It's not the greatest clear. Like, things are dying. He is fast. He has explode coming from his merc. I think his merc has Asenath, right? But he doesn't have a setup for his merc. Does he talk about his merc? If I see any way to get strength stacking, I'm doing Baron like a real man. I've done Baron strength stacking multiple times. I do think there's multiple good variations of strength stacking. Off the top of my head, you can strength stack zombies, obviously, or the specters. I forget their name. Perfect, runic skeletons. Those guys. Those are decent options, and of course, you can always mix and match them. I think back in Necropolis or Affliction, I think it's Affliction, I did strength stack, runic skeleton, zombie hybrid in a 10 link. It wasn't 12. I didn't have the money or crafting knowledge for a 12 link back then. Let's go to Simulacrum. Sure. Their projectiles aren't going that far. Like, I can see some projectiles get like here, but like that's about it. So like even in a Doriani setup, I think I remember hearing, is this for a starter build? They're also squishy AF. I don't mind them being squishy because you're going to be summoning them so frequently that you can just keep them alive with the health that they are regenerating because they keep dying, quote unquote. As for the starter build, it might be what I want to do with Summon Phantasm, and I don't know if I will fully get the chance to today, but the plan is I will make an endgame version and I will see if I think that is a POB that I like. Right? I'll see if it's something I like and if the numbers look like they appeal to me. And then once I've decided on that, then I will start stripping things out and make a low budget and see if I can maybe make it work as a league starter with nothing but soul rest. Because realistically, it could be a very, very economical league starter because all you need for your first 6 link is soul rest. You just need a 6 socket soul rest and that's it. That's a lot of ghosts. Exactly. That is the appeal. That is why I really like it. Dark Monarch allows you to double your phantasms, and soul rest plus regular summon phantasm gets you to, I think, 22-ish max summon phantasm, something like that. Holy Relic is the best starter in my eyes. Holy Relic, Holy Relic, Holy Relic. I think Holy Relic is a very strong starter. I don't think it's the best, but I think it's a very strong starter. It comes online very cheap. It doesn't really need much to get going. I think you just need what, Dialas for your quality and enhance your rolling. And I don't think it's Dialas is not mandatory. You can get away with not having it and then getting it later on. Realistically, the only thing that's mandatory is the helmet, Joffrey's crown. So rest is very reliable to red maps. Yeah, so then the question is, can we scale? If we can find a way to scale the damage way past that, that would be the ideal scenario. So let's do some light POB, shall we? I don't think I want to. Do I want to put it off till tomorrow? Am I streaming tomorrow? That's a good question, even. Create a new folder for 3.27. And we'll worry about that later. I was so confused for a second. So, summon Phantasm? Or Phantasm? Yeah, it's a very common drop. You don't have to worry about it, really. I think one thing that I'm 100% sure about is I'm going to see one of the ascendancies, bloodline ascendancies, and I'm going to get inspired to make something out of it. I don't know what it is yet, but I know that's going to happen. I'm almost 100% sure. Almost. So things that I really like about something like this is because we need a setup like cast while channeling, cyclone, desecrates. Also, how do you take care of your corpses? Do you use the boots? No, he does not in fact use the boots. Is this desecrates, awakened, offering? So I guess it does when you're. How quickly does he summon in single target? Let's see. Let's go Exarch. He's at 5, 10, 15, 19, 24, 29. So pretty fast because but it looks like he only has one offering, right? Let me just confirm it. He only has flesh offering. It's just flesh offering, flesh offering, flesh offering, flesh offering, flesh offering. And the reason being, the way this is actually working in this scenario is Cyclone procs desecrates, then it procs flesh offering. But this is a 4-link. Okay. Cyclone procs desecrates, then offering, Then it tries proccing the second offering, assuming you're in a 6 link or something. But there are no corpses, so then it goes back and it procs Desecrate again, and then comes back to proc the first offering again, then the second offering. There is an inverse where it goes back and forth. I'm not entirely sure which behavior it maintains. I think it's going to stick to one. So what I will do is Bone Offering, because I do believe Corrupt. Is there anything good for us? No siree. Okay. Absolutely nothing. We only care about the Minion Fizz mod and maybe Mana Regen. Anyways, do you have to support your weapon with Summon Phantasm, or yeah, you do? Okay. And then you summon Phantasm, summon other Phantasms. Another thing with Summon Phantasm is you do have the chance of summoning when they hit rares and unique. So like they are kind of self-propagating to a degree. So we have Cast Fire Channeling, Cyclone, Desecrate, Bone Offering. There's no reason why not to use Infused Channeling for less damage taken. Like there's just no reason to not do that. And then what else would we have here? You use Calling Strike. Do I care about Calling Strike? Yes, I do. But I won't have accuracy for myself. So and then the crafted weapon. Yeah, the crafted weapon for Holy Relic is dirt easy to make. Like I think you're only looking for one mod. Like you're literally just going to essence, attack speed or something, and then you're going to craft hits can't be evaded, and I think you're fine for like a low budget weapon or something. It's insanely efficient. Where are you from? I am in Canada, to be precise, Manitoba. So time currently is 9 p.m. So we're on Central Time. In Chicago, nice. I think I know a few people in Chicago, to be honest. Very popular state. I'll leave the 6th socket open. I feel like I had an idea for something I wanted triggered with my offering, but I don't remember now. It might be Curse, but I don't think I really care about Curse. Convocation, the CD doesn't match what I'd be doing, and I like manually casting it, so no. Anyways, including full DPS. $44. Dark Monarch. Let's test something real quick. Summon Skeleton. Raise Zombie. So we're looking at this, right? The damage is 160. So if we go into skeletons, and we go summon Phantasm, 28. All right. What about zombie, summon Phantasm, physical proj? They're all the same damage number. What if we went triggered summon Phantasm, physical proj? It doesn't show up here. Okay. So I think it's like I said earlier. Yeah, let's do this. Yeah, so now POB has fixed the bug he had, because POB had a bug where the summon phantasm damage was reliant on the minion you were using to simulate it. I'm going to leave summon Skelly in here because without summon Skelly, I can't simulate the damage, but it's still going to be summon phantasm's damage. It's just going to be simulated with, because of how POB works, is it TLDR. We have 44 of them. So this is a 1 support gem. We'll leave the rest for now. We drop this, we go on Holy Might. Makes it very easy to go poison if we need to. Now we're obviously going to cap our block chance. We have Bone Offering. We don't care about minion duration all that much. We really don't care about it. We're going to be spin to winning permanently, so it's fine. This is mandatory to have, like this one here. Convocation is mandatory as well. I think I would want to have, who else? Minions recover life on minion death. I think I might want to have that. But realistically, I don't need to spec much into minion defense. I just need convocation and the other one. I need access to 2 different minion defenses or defensive wheels. Now, because I'm oblivious to this, let's find where staff. It's a war staff, right? The staff here. Staff mastery is down here. You have increased damage, we don't care. Block, block, block. Increased defenses while wielding a staff, not bad. Recover life and ES when you block AD or spell, kinda nice. I'll probably end up being life based, so yeah, okay. Here is probably the one that's these are all chance to block AD. I'm not the biggest fan of the increased damage. This is also given. But like it's fine, technically. And then extra armor is always nice to have. Frosty Froster, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. I think I'll take the recover life when you block attack damage though. Block spell damage. This is a wheel we might take. Block spell, block spell, block spell. AoE per power charge. I don't care. And then this is another one where there's some block in there. Some pretty decent block here actually. And then it's caster mastery, so pretty sure Desecrate counts as a spell and Offering also counts as a spell, so Caster Mastery is free. If only this was last league when what his face was meta, life would have been good. Oh well. There's no maximum phantasm on the tree, right? Just making sure I'm not forgetting anything. I'm pretty sure there's no some more phantasm max on the tree. This is minion damage and double damage and chaos res. It's a good wheel to have. Obviously pick this. I think before we start going crazy, let's take the bare minimum, shall we? Okay. I said I wanted to go poison, but ultimately I also want to go. I want to have as many. What do you call them? I want to have as much. Why is my brain farting here? I want to have as many sockets as possible, dual sockets, because they are going to be big for stacking flat damage. Because I think if I were to check this right now, we got summon Phantasm. Wrong one. Summon Skelly, summon Phantasm, physical projectile. This is the entirety of their flat damage. Really? Wait, hold up. Let's take this back down to 1. 1951. 57. We get to the same value here. We have added flat damage here. Okay, no, it's not. Okay. Okay. Don't scare me like that. I'm like, yo, it's not. So this is just the added damage. This is the actual flats. So they have 600 base, and of course this, but we convert it all to chaos, which ends up being this amount. I mean, that's fair, honestly. I see this being a potential. What's the word I'm looking for here? A potential increase effective offering. Yeah, these matter. Adorned build. It might be an adorned build. Maybe. In terms of spell damage, this is a wasted modifier, but then this becomes. Do you have block? Yes, you do. So block, 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 block. That's all the block here. Block there. Jeez, block chance is that high already? Okay. We still have access to this guy because this says staff or shield. Oh, it does count. I'm like, yo, what is going on here? God damn. We're already overcapped on block. That's literally all it takes. Okay. What do I do with this information? Holy. That was easy. 4 points here. That's all it takes. Can we get more attack block without going ham on spell block? I wonder. I don't think so, right? This says while holding a shield. This would be the easiest way to do it. Realistically. Okay. I think I'll leave it as is. This is level 54, 67 points in. We're capped on block. We kind of have what I would consider to be the bare minimum, if even, because we still want to get you, and we still want to get you. Instant leech, Eldritch battery, there. Then we want to go 12 passive cluster. Remove vicious bite because it's not necessary. Let's fill this out. And we still have 20 points to spare. How many jewel sockets do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's not bad. We'll have to use some uniques, obviously. But I think this is fine. Back to 44. All right, 44. If I remember correctly, all our phantasms are going to be level 25 phantasms, right? Something like that. This is realistically the minion I should be using, not this guy. Is there any way to simulate this? Oh, there we go. So I don't need this. Okay, that works. All right, that's better. So we're at 400k already. This is Wither as well, so we should be max on Wither stacks. Where's Wither? 15. Already a mill. Actively channeling is infusion. Is infusion the thing given by infused channeling? I want to say yes. No. It does affect my max hit, so I think it is. Do we have a source of endurance charges? We're going to have to get enduring composure somewhere, so we're going for endurance charges. We don't have them yet, obviously, but we'll be going enduring composure. Out of everything here, this honestly is the weakest link. Without that, we need to invest a bit more into block, which I guess is fine. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is cheaper. Now, capping block would be rough without this, but I think it would be worth it if we, depending on what we get. We'll have to keep an open mind because this guy will be variable, but I do think we can drop it and we're still fine. Like, we have the points to. Let me not say we have the points to spare yet. Let's get enduring composure in here and slap him somewhere that we can just. We kind of have the points now. I just don't forget enduring composure because it's important. I put in the points now. I also need to figure out defensive layers I want for this setup and a whole bunch of other shit. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff I need to figure out. One thing that I thought about that I really liked, at least in a low budget to mid budget scenario, is Leash of Oblation. I really like the concept of Leash of Oblation, giving us all, like, allowing us to have the triple offerings, which would allow us to scale crits, attack cast speed, as well as block. But what I really like about it is I can potentially, now I'm not saying I'm going to do this, but I can potentially pair it with a Queen's Hunger, and with a Queen's Hunger, I can completely drop this guy, and I'd benefit from the entire effects of the offerings now instead of these two. So I don't know that POB would have this, but let's see if it does have the variations. Offering? No. I don't think it has the new ones. Yeah, it doesn't. But Queen's Hunger has a modifier now that is well, it just has this one, which obviously is nice, and then it triggers it every so often, but you're going to want to manually cast it yourself, because this is not enough to have perma uptake. It is technically, but it's going to be so slow and will require you to constantly poop out corpses when you can just cyclone and win. So it doesn't make sense to not cyclone. But what I'm saying is you can have increased effect of offerings. So you would then have 20% from here. You would also have 20% from the mastery. Then you can have this one, which allows me as a player to get bone offering and flesh offering in its full effect without Leash of Oblation. Actually, now that I think about it, this will be without Leash of Oblation. So now all I need to do is cyclone. I'm getting the full effects of attack, cast, and movement speed for flesh offering, as well as the full block from bone offering. So this is something I'm going to consider as a defensive layer, or as a layer to play around with. I don't need Spirit Offering. Like, Spirit Offering will be nice, but because I am not using... I don't remember the name of the scepter, but I'm not using the scepter that gives minion attack crits equal to your weapons crits, because I'm using it two-handed, obviously. I'm not using that, therefore, you know, crit scaling is kind of rough. It's still possible, and to still help my damage quite a bit having the crit from like Spirit Offering, but nothing compared to like having the two different offerings and just having giga move speed. Because like if you look at Flesh Offering provides 30% increased move speed at level 20. 30, and you'd be getting its full unfiltered effect. And keep in mind, you're getting 10% here, so that's 50% effect from all sources, which would then be, instead of 30% movement speed, you're looking at 45% movement speed, as well as the cast speed to help your cyclone. And then you're also getting where's Bone Offering? You're also getting Bone Offering with 50% effect. So you're looking at Bone Offering, and suddenly you have, what is half of this? 17.5. So you're looking at like an extra 52% attack block and like 50% spell block, something like that. On top of, so tapping block becomes very easy. Your minions are regenerating a shit ton of life, even though you don't care about that. But like, tapping block becomes easy, and you get a lot of movement speed. It will be very, very comfortable early on. I think that is what attracts me the most to this. It's the concept of having 40% movements, 45% movement speed coming from my chest piece in the early game, because like Queen's Hunger is not that expensive. So if you can get 45% movement speed from there, you have your boots giving you 30%, that's already 75%. Then you now bring in Quicksilver with its extra like 30%. How much is Quicksilver? What am I doing? 40%. So now you're looking at over 100%. That's like you're getting to Mage Blood levels, and you don't even have a Mage Blood. Your belt is free. You can still get a Mage Blood if you wanted. You could You could even go so far as to not go. You could choose not to go this the mod I mentioned, the 2 extra offerings or whatever. You can choose to ignore that mod because you can get Leash of Oblation early on, and that's cheap. It's very cheap belt. Keep in mind, you probably still want Darkness Enthroned, so you'd probably go for this. But we're dealing with hypotheticals here. You could hypothetically choose to go Leash of Oblation instead of this, and then go for a second modifier. So let's say you have increased effect of offering, and you have what is a good suffix to have? Because I think you have to have one of each actually. Unveiling the Katarina's veiled prefix draws from a pool of both exclusive veiled and generic. Okay. Do we just get res? Is that it? I guess so. There's nothing fancy here, but so you get that and you get increased effect of offering. Or I guess you get this and you also get 2 different offerings. The difference is with Leash of Oblation, the Leash of Oblation version, you get a you get a very, very big crit multiplier in the form of Spirit Offering. But you're now taking three slots of your Castwall Channeling. So that would be Castwall Channeling, Desecrate, Cyclone, Triple Offering. But you also have to, I think you also have to worry about corpse generation. I'll think about it. I'll think about this. It intrigues me a lot. My worry is if you use Desecrate for all 3 of them, then you're going to... Can I test this? I think I can test it. I will test it. Probably on you. You are the easiest to test. But if I can, then it'll just be a case of pull Leash of Oblation, get a 5 link that has white, so basically Tabula Rasa, and Cyclone. See if Cyclone... I do it on this character. This character doesn't have a martial weapon. I guess I could swap out the weapon. But this is a... This character has minions. Has specters that I would... You don't have specters. Why do you not have specters? Chains of command doesn't let you... Okay, so this is fine. Actually use this one. Where's belts? Leash of Oblation. I need a weapon.
Hello, hello, hello.
A one-handed... Let's say axe. Sure.
Wish I'd kept that one.
Sure. Then let's do a Tabula Rasa. So, what are we going to have? Cyclone. Cast while channeling. Desecrates. Triple offering. So this is bone offering, spirit offering, flesh offering. I'm nowhere near. Do I not see? It is doing what I suspected, which is it's only getting bone offering because there aren't enough corpses. There aren't enough corpses, so it's only getting bone offering. It's not getting the others. It should get the others. But if I were to do, say, take out cast while channeling, put okay, that means, well, there's multiple implications of this. That means that I will need bone offering. That's great. This effectively means that I am going to need if I'm going to pull off this tech, I'm going to need this guy, Hollow Effigy. I'm constantly proccing everything, so I'm just going to be I'm literally going to keep spamming the 3 offerings. It doesn't matter their duration because I'm going to keep replacing them with each other and all of that. So I will need Hollow Effigy, so that takes my annoyance, which is kind of not ideal, because I mean I could do a lot with my annoyance, but it's not the end of the world either. But I can do that, have the triple offering, go Leash of Oblation, and suddenly I have Giga Juice offerings and like 50% effect offerings even, which is a lot. And they all apply to me. So Giga Block, Giga Movement Speed, Giga everything. And it's like a mini Mage Blood even. So that is something I would like to play around with. So I will likely POB that. The only problem with Queen's Hunger is the simple fact that, well, the problem with Queen's Hunger is the simple fact that it's a chess piece. It's not giving you much in the way of like what chess pieces should give you. So you're not getting much life from it. You're not getting much ES from it. Yeah, these are not accurate. We'll leave this as is though. But that is what that is a tech I feel like I want to really mess around with. Just for the fun of it. The only thing is, once you get into Mage Blood territory, it becomes less effective because you have to replace Leash of Oblation, which means maybe you end up going for 2 offerings instead of 20% effect. Like maybe you go for 2 offerings instead of offerings, if offering effects. And by going for 2 offerings, you drop the belt, you go Mage Blood, you're still able to get like instead of 45% move speed. By the way, is there more offering effect that I'm ignoring? I don't think there is. Yeah, there isn't. It's just the minion mastery. Let me just confirm though. Brother in Christ. Oh, you can also get increased effect on boots. Ooh, you see that? That's some more movement speed. So you can still get like 17% there for bone offering too. Or you can just get increased effect of offerings on body armor. No, body armor is already taken because we're going for Queen's Hunger. So this is already taken. It's not an option. What else are we looking at? Minion unique weapon. Which unique weapon can have this? Weapon tree. Is it Crucible? It might be Crucible. This is Charm. And then Katarina mods. So there aren't any other sources of... They didn't even show the minion mastery here. %20 of your life. Minions regen 20% of sacrifice life per second. Meh. Alright. So 50% is like, it's not the high end, but because we're going the chest piece, it kind of is the high end. But we can single out an offering and boost it with boost. So like we can go flesh offering giga boosted. So that would then give us slightly more movement speed to the tune of like we're looking at 30-ish, so like 3 extra movement speed, 4 extra movement speed, 4%, 3%, which is not great. So I probably wouldn't do that or for that movement speed. However, the part I'm even forgetting to mention in the whole offering discussion is the fact that your minions are going to be getting insane attack cast speed. So the same way we mentioned having 30% movement speed, they're getting 30% attack speed. So then that goes to 45%, which is the equivalent of having an extra support gem, a faster attack / casting support gem, which you also inherit via this guy. So, you know, there is also some merit there. I'll play around with that idea. 100%. But I think this is where we're going to stop POBing for today. I'm probably not streaming tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure. If I do end up streaming, it's going to be 2 p.m. Central. But odds are I do have something I need to do tomorrow. So probably not streaming tomorrow. In which case I will be live Monday for more to complete this POB, basically. I will try to stream tomorrow. I'll try to fit it in my schedule, but if that doesn't happen, then it is what it is. I will be making follow-up videos on like, or not follow-up videos, but like videos on the like reg defilers we worked on today. And if someone Phantasm ends up in a spot that I like the end game version of, then again I'll make some content around that. Probably make a league start-esque version, because I think Soul Rest would honestly be a very economical league. So like realistically, you don't need a 6 link on your scepter or your staff rather. You have easy access to block. If you go Queen's Hunger, which we might have access to early because Katarina keys start. When do Katarina keys start dropping? I should check that. I don't know if there's a set level or if they always drop. Syndicate medallions. What are we looking at here? Syndicate medallions are area level 78 or higher. So that's red maps. So by red maps, it would likely be expensive to get one that has 20% offering. Maybe not expensive. People don't care about it. But getting one that's 6 link might be. Leash of Oblivion is dirt cheap. Nobody cares about it. And it reduces the cost you have to pay for your belt slot, because alternatively you'd be going for what's his face, Darkness Enthroned, and that can run you if you like half a divine to a divine early league easily. So you can save some currency. I think it's very economical, and I think you can get like really, really good damage for a budget. The question is, can you scale that without like, how is the bridge, the mid budget? I think that is like where the biggest question mark is for me. And is the high budget high potential enough to make it worth it? These are ultimately the questions I'm going to try to answer when I POB the rest of these setups on Monday or Saturday, depending on when I can actually get around to doing it. But anyways, thank you for stopping by. Appreciate you guys. Huge turnout today. Appreciate everybody that took their time to, you know, to say hi or just watch the build crafts. But I'll be back on Saturday or Monday. Till then though, have a good night.